boy, oh boy, has it been an unpredictable major so far. Let's be straight for a second. Impossible, absolutely impossible to predict that so many favorites would fail to qualify. We're talking FaZe going 0-3 in the Legend stage. We're talking NIP going 0-3. We're talking Vitality not even getting to the 2-2 game, but getting 1-3. Some of the best teams in the world are not present at the playoff, and they're not present because they lost to better teams. But coming into the tournaments, I think everyone would have said that FaZe Clan, currently #1 ranked in the world, Vitality currently #3 on the world ranking. All of these teams missing out, NIP as well, they look good during the qualifier. It's a massive, massive, massive disappointment for them and highly, highly surprising. I'll take the loss, I'll take the defeat. I didn't get it this time around, no diamond coin, but I am devouring my time right now to create this video so I can help all you guys who somehow survived this madness to get the goddamn diamond coin, or at least for us to get the gold coin, which is still somewhat of an achievement considering this major has been absolutely surreal. Really a great major, but wow. Are you also super tired of people trying to scam you all the time whenever you're trying to sell or buy a new knife? Then I'd advise you to head over to Skin Baron. Skin Baron is a legit German registered company, a marketplace that on average has skins for sale 30% cheaper than on the Steam market. I use Skin Baron and I do it because I don't want to worry about people scamming me. So hell with scammers. Alrighty boys and girls, let's have a look at the goodies. We have a bracket that looks like this. Outsiders versus Fnatic in one quarterfinal. You have Mouse versus Cloud9, Team Spirit versus Heroic, Furia versus Na'Vi. Winner of these two games will qualify for the semifinals, and of course winner of these two games will qualify for the semifinal over here. Now first and foremost, looking at the bracket, you'd argue that the bottom side of the bracket is slightly stronger. Na'Vi, of course, one of the main favorites to win the entire major right now, even though they struggled a little bit in the Legend stage. They had to go through all the games. They used all 5. They went through as a 3-2 team with 2 losses recorded throughout the tournament, one against Liquid where they were leading 12-3 on Ancient and still lost 16-14. Unpredictable major. Anyhow, they're going up against the home crowd favorites, Furia. And I don't know if you've seen any of the footage, but the arena is electric. Roughly 3,000 people were allocated inside the group stage arena. Apparently, around 18,000 Brazilian fans will go absolutely bonkers in the arena when Furia on Friday take on Na'Vi in their quarterfinal. That's going to be such a massive game. That's going to be such a massive struggle for Na'Vi to cope with all that pressure. But the same could be said for Furia. Imagine having your entire nation on the back of you. Imagine having all that support and maybe fearing, maybe getting nervous that you're letting them down. So far, Furia have done none of that. They've played a fantastic major so far. They started out by losing their opening game to Big. Very opening game in the Challenger stage to Big. They were leading 15-7, lost anyhow, right? They went all the way back to 15-15 and Furia lost that game. Ever since that, rocky start, Furia have been playing nuts. They've been playing good Counter-Strike. They've been playing solid. So I expect this game to be a close one. Spirit as well against Heroic. Heroic have looked decent. The only team Heroic have lost to so far was Cloud9 in a very convincing fashion. Otherwise, Heroic look good. They beat Liquid relatively convincingly as well. Going up against Team Spirit, who struggled a little bit beating Liquid yesterday in that all-deciding game. But Spirit, a team you can never count out. They were also in the semifinal at the PGL Antwerp major. To those of you who did those pick'ems, don't forget that. They actually have some experience at this stage. I think Heroic will be the home crowd favorite though in this one. Mouse versus Cloud9. I think Cloud9 right now emerges as one of the favorites to win the entire thing. Their route in challenges, I don't know if you guys remember, but they were 0-2. And they were 0-2 going up against Imperial, where they were down on both the maps. They ended up winning. It was such a close game. You could even argue that Cloud9 should have gone out of the major in the Challenger stage as an 0-3 team. Now they're here as the main favorite in the playoff bracket. Played fantastic Counter-Strikes throughout Legends. They absolutely manhandled Heroic in the 2-0 game, and right now they're one of the favorites, even though they're going up against Mousesports, who has also played a good tournament. Dexter, Frozen, Torsi for that matter, Exertion, all the boys are coming together. JDC even as the impact player, as the supportive element. It's a very well-rounded lineup in Mouse, and it's not going to be an easy game for sure. Mouse really deserve to get into the quarterfinal, and honestly speaking, they can put up a fight against Cloud9. Outsiders versus Fnatic, probably the most or the least exciting quarterfinal if you look from a fan perspective. Not a lot of fans of Outsiders, even though they are a quality team. Jame once again cementing himself as one of the greatest in-game leaders we have in Counter-Strike right now, finding success with Fame, finding success with Norbert, have been able to integrate them into the lineup despite the loss of Yakinda, right? The big loss of Yakinda. They're still in a quarterfinal at a major, and they're going up against Fnatic, and you would even argue that Outsiders are the favorites against Fnatic, who have had a bit of an easy route throughout this point. I say easy because it's never easy to get into a quarterfinal at a major, and I will say that Fnatic have played a good tournament so far. I think they're a super solid team. Roy in particular is great. Crims is stepping up again now. I think he's in his 15th major playoff, which is, again, bonkers. The longevity of Crims is insane. It's sick games all around. So let's get to the nitty-gritty. Let's get to the predictions. I'm gonna start with Outsiders Fnatic, what we just finished right here. I think Outsiders is gonna have my vote. I think Outsiders have looked like a great team throughout the tournament. They're only getting better and better and better game by game. Fnatic as well, as said, they've been super solid, but I feel like they have their limitations. I feel like we've seen inconsistencies, and I feel like Fnatic against a team like Outsiders, they don't really get affected by the pressure. We've seen Jame, we've seen the playstyle. They are slow, they're methodical, they're so annoying to play against. I'm having a hard time seeing Outsiders not winning that game. One of the things that makes me say it as well is the fact that Outsiders have absolutely manhandled the Fnatic as well in the tournament already. In the Challenger stage, they played a game. Outsiders won 2-0, 16-1, 16-14. So there's not really a lot of stuff that suggests that Fnatic will win this game, but I mean, who knows? Maybe, just maybe it can happen. The next one is Cloud9 against Mouse, and I think I said it already, but we have a clear favorite. We have a very clear favorite in that one. Cloud9 have played a fantastic major so far. There's no internal match history between the two teams. The teams have never met before with the current installations of the rosters, so there's no internal, way of predicting this one. You can only look at what they've achieved so far in the tournament. I think Mouse is super legit. I think if Mouse were Fnatic in the game against Outsiders, I would probably lean towards Mouse. I think if Mouse were facing Fnatic, I would probably lean towards Mouse. But Mouse are a little bit unlucky with the draw right here. They are facing right now the probably most informed team at the major in Cloud9. Shiro have been unplayable. You saw him in the Challenger stage, absolutely fantastic. He was firing on all cylinders. He was the one reason that Cloud9 stayed alive for long enough to even qualify to the Legend States. And here in the Legend States, he's just continued down that path. He's having a fantastic major right now, and there's no doubt that Shiro is an MVP candidate. I would even argue that if Shiro is playing well in the quarterfinal, if Shiro is playing well in the semifinal, and Cloud9 gets to the final, we haven't really seen much from any of the other players. So for Shiro, he could be one of the few MVP majors that don't necessarily have to win the tournament if he continues down the path that he's on right now. It would require something extraordinary from, could be Simple, could be Queserado or Yuri, who's also had a good tournament for Furia, but let's see about that. Cloud9, they're gonna win the game. Zero, Exile, Hobbit, that core, Nafany, Interest, there's just too much quality winning Cloud9. And honestly speaking, I think with the fact that FaZe is not here, with the fact that FaZe is out of the tournament, which is kind of like a nemesis for Cloud9, they have so much internal history between each other, they have so much games going up against each other. The path is quite clear for Cloud9. They're one of the favorites to win the major, and of course, I also think they'll win the quarterfinal. Heroic versus Team Spirit. Team Spirit has once again surprised us all. I think it's not that big of a surprise this time around because we saw them in Antwerp. We know the quality. We know what Chopper has been able to do with this roster, and we've seen a lot of progress. Patchy again playing a solid tournament without going absolutely crazy. Wonderful, doing a decent job as well. He's very hit and miss. He has good games, bad games, good games, bad games. We saw him struggle a little bit against Liquid yesterday. Siren, I think, is a player that doesn't get talked about enough. Super solid for Team Spirit. He's done a tremendous job. He's very solid in his duels. He's sort of like a mini budget version of Perfecto from Na'Vi. Going on with Heroic though. Heroic again. If you're Heroic, you see FaZe is out of the major, Vitality is out of the major, NIP is not here. A lot of the favorites are missing right now. You've never had a better chance to win the major. Na'Vi have shown weaknesses. Na'Vi only just went through as a 3-2 team. If you're Heroic right now, you're seeing a clear pathway that you potentially could win a major and cement yourself as a legend in the game. I think Heroic are super motivated. I've had the honor of interviewing them on Danish television where I cover the major, and they seem very calm, very collective, and that's why they'll also beat Team Spirit. Now this one is gonna be freaking tough to predict. Furia, as I said, the crowd is gonna be behind them. It's gonna be absolutely bonkers. I don't know how people will react. I don't know how Furia will react. I don't know how Na'Vi will react. All I've seen is that 3,000 Brazilian people in the crowd can make anyone fall in love with Counter-Strike. So what happens when 18,000 people, roughly, is going to be inside that arena, and every single one of them is going to cheer for Furia against Na'Vi? We've seen Na'Vi struggle a little bit. We've seen Na'Vi record a couple of losses in the tournament. Highly surprising, some may say, right? Na'Vi have not been playing at the same level ever since the summer break, and Sum Young has been not playing so well as he could have. I'm curious to if Na'Vi would lose this quarterfinal. That would probably be the last game for Sum Young as well in Na'Vi. So let's see about that. They have 2 losses in the tournament. A 16-14 very narrow loss to Cloud9 and a 16-14 loss to Liquid, where they were leading 12-3. So it's not like it's been a disaster of a major for Na'Vi. It's also been best of ones they've only lost. They won 2 best of 3 games when they had to, rather convincingly against Big as well. So I'm not really worried on behalf of of Na'Vi yet. NIP, bye-bye. Which makes me think that they still have a bit of an edge. Honestly, personally, I would love to see Furia win this game. I would love to do this. I would love to see a semi-final between Furia and Heroic. But I think it's going to be the classic matchup. I think Na'Vi have too much quality. I think Simple is just, again, he can win a second major. He didn't get it in Antwerpen. He was in the final. He lost to FaZe. I think that hurt him a lot. He should be motivated. Fury as well. They're going to play with everything they have. It's a 50-50. I almost feel bad. I almost want to do this. But I can't. I have to stay true to what I think. I think Na'Vi's going to win that game. I'm going to be cheering for the Counter-Strike. I'm going to be cheering for Counter-Strike. As a matter of fact, I don't give a flying damn who any of these teams are and whether or not they're going to win. I want the best teams to progress from the quarterfinal. I want the best teams in the semifinal, and I want the best possible final. Whether that's going to be between Na'Vi and Cloud9 or Outsiders Na'Vi, it doesn't really matter to me because the Counter-Strike will celebrate itself. Now, in the Outsiders versus Cloud9, I think, again, Outsiders is a team you can't discredit. It could be and should be a close game, but I suspect Cloud9 will go to the final. I expect Cloud9 to see the pathway, to get the job done. They're going to continue. They're in a good shape. They have momentum. They have confidence. They're finally awake. Cloud9 is going to beat Outsiders in probably what's going to be a close game, you know, a 2-1 fashion. I wouldn't be surprised. Outsiders, again, you can never discredit Jane. The way they play, they're so annoying, but in terms of war quality, Cloud9 is a better team than Outsiders, which is why I'm going to predict them to win. Doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen. We've seen that before. Heroic versus Na'Vi. We've seen that matchup play out so many times. There's so much internal history between the two teams. Now, Heroic have won a couple of times lately. It's sort of like a 50-50 matchup, and I will say in the current iteration for Na'Vi, they haven't looked as good, but there's just too much quality on Bit, Electronic. I've even seen Perfecto. Perfecto, he doesn't get talked about enough. He's the best role player, support element. Call him what you want in the game right now. I think Perfecto and Na'Vi is going to take down Heroic, and I would love to see my Danish countrymen get into a final against Cloud9. They also have a lot of history, but I think it's going to be an all-CS grand final at the major. I think it's going to be Cloud9 taking on Na'Vi, and I think Na'Vi will have the upper hand. I think Shiro has been playing fantastic. I think Exile is struggling a little bit, and that's one of the few things I haven't mentioned right here. In big playoffs, Exile and Shiro are dropping quite a lot in level. If you look up the stats, if you dive into it, if you take that in as a context, right? Sure, I think even with Shiro playing on 70 or 80%, they can beat Mouse. Sure, even with Exile playing on 70, 80%, they can beat Outsiders. But when it goes up against Na'Vi in a grand final, Na'Vi that have history, they have experience. Even Sum Young has won a couple of tournaments with Na'Vi. The one in Lisbon at Blast. I think Na'Vi just have that edge. I think Na'Vi believes they're going to win, and I think Simple wants to win. And as long as that's the case, as long as Simple can cement himself as a player that's won 2 out of 3 majors in the past 2 years, he can cement himself as the best player of 2022. Don't forget, there's a conversation to be had right now that Saivu has been so well playing. Shiro, for that matter as well, has been so well playing after the summer break that you can have a debate whether or not Simple, as of right now, is the best player in the world. If he wins this major, and if he does that by playing, you know, somewhat decent throughout the quarterfinal, semifinal, and final, Simple will not only win the major, he will also cement himself as the player who is the best of 2022, and that means something to Simple. Think about it. He's a player that's achieved it all. What can you still achieve? Well, you can take the personal, I guess, satisfaction for being the best, being celebrated as the best, while you're also winning your tournament, and that gives a little bit of an extra edge. I would love to do this, and I honestly believe this is possible. I don't blame you if you guys put Cloud9 in here. I say this is a 51-49, but I'm going to log in my PICKEMS, and I hope that this explanation, I hope this little preview of the major playoff has helped you to get some clarity as to how you want to do this. Don't forget, I'm out of the diamond coin race. I am not getting my 3rd diamond coin in a row. I didn't anticipate that many surprises to happen, but I will also say that it's kind of stabilized now. The favorites that have it in them, the favorites that have played good, they are also the favorites that I'm banking on in the playoff right now. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I would love and appreciate if you guys would drop a subscription to my YouTube channel. Make sure to let me know in the comments below whether you agree with me or not that this is going to be the case, whether you agree with me or not that this could be the way to your diamond coin or gold coin or silver if you're just joining. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, where I do game by game, map by map analysis and fun stats. It's super fun in there on Twitter. And don't forget to support this lovely content that I'm putting out, because I'm working my ass off during the major, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much. Over now.